for Veterans Village, where it's just one domino that is in place, and hopefully within the next several months more dominoes will get in place and start falling correctly. But it's an event that we would like to welcome the community, the neighborhood, and let them know about our dream for Veterans Village, that this land is being dreamed of right now for Veterans Village, and that the community and you are all part about this dream. It is my pleasure to welcome a few people. Before I do want to say a gracious thank you to Ron Fryer. Ron Fryer's in the back in the yellow shirt. He is undoubtedly, without a shadow of a doubt, our most valuable player with what we're doing today, and I really want to thank Ron for that. I'm going to welcome the founder, the CEO, and the president of Veterans Village and Pure Craze Events for veterans, and that is Michael Stacy. So let's have a warm welcome for Michael Stacy.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks each and every one of you for coming out today. This means a whole lot to me. This is a big dream that I've had. Most of my life I've tried to help people. I want to help our veterans. They need it the worst. This will hold the female veterans. At this time, there will be 18. The reason for that is the females are having the worst problem, is finding a housing that they're safe and they feel safe in. So basically, this is set up to inform you what we're doing and let you know. This is the future Veteran Village. We want to thank two important people, Ron and Rosemary Fryer, the owners of this property, are allowing us to do this here. We have a lot of people that are going to speak. Good. I want to ask one come up, which is very special to me. She's a good friend, and she happens to be the director of the Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs. I get it out. I hope she can speak better than I do. Alfie?
I will keep my remarks very short. I just want to make sure that you know that the tiny home or the micro home is something that we're truly getting behind when it comes to Washington State because of the lack of affordable housing for veterans. It's not just homeless vets. We're talking about vets who are actually working and can't afford to get into even a one-bedroom apartment. So I really believe that when it comes to the micro home, we may be able to solve several issues: homelessness and affordable housing. So I just want to say that Michael is a person that he and I have been around this for probably a couple of years now, and I really know that this is going to happen. It is going to happen, and the State Department of Veterans Affairs is working with the governor to be able to support ventures like this, and he just got behind us being able to do some exploration and got a little funding to be able to do that and work with partners like Michael and Pure Craze, who is a pure crazy man who is going to really, I think, with the help of everybody here today, deliver this project. And we just want to say thank you to the City of Vancouver for working with him to be able to explore. And I know the Mayor Pro Tem and I just had a conversation, and things like this are not easy, but this is not about easy. This is about sometimes making the impossible happen. So thank you for being here today, and Michael, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alfie. She came all the way down from Olympia to visit us here today. Mr. J. Ron Powers, and he's going to finish the deal off. But before I do that, I'd like to post our colors. Neva, please post colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Neva, could you please bless the land? Now that ends blessing of the land. We are blessed. This is going to be a wonderful, extremely neat place for people to come and see our veterans living in a community by themselves in their own little homes. Ron?
Thank you, Mike. Our first speaker that we're going to have is Randy Warnke. Randy is a minister, and he's also a veteran, and he's also a chief architect in the Point Man Ministries here for the city of Vancouver and the surrounding community. So I'd like to have Randy say a few words. Thank you, Randy.
When he asked me to speak, I thought, does he really know what he's getting into? You know, pastors have the gift of gab. So I will promise to keep my comments short. The Veterans Village is an idea whose time has come. Vancouver has always had a reputation of being patriotic, standing by and supporting its veterans. This project is going to take that to the next level. The goal of providing shelter and support to our homeless veterans to get them back on their feet, getting them the help and services that they have earned and back into society. One of the ways you measure a great country is by the way it takes care of its veterans. We have work to do. We are a great country, but there's much work to be done in taking care of those who have stepped up to defend the rights that we all share. When 22 veterans commit suicide every day, 90% of all returning veterans from a war zone end up in divorce. There are far too many homeless veterans in America. The latest stats put us somewhere between 130,000 and 200,000 in the United States. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs estimates that 131,000 veterans are homeless on any given night, and approximately twice that will experience homelessness in the course of a year. Consequently, 1 out of every 3 homeless men who you see sleeping on the streets is a veteran. Approximately 40% of homeless men are veterans. All veterans comprise 34% of the general adult male population. The National Coalition of Homeless Veterans estimates that that number can jump to 200,000. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs says that the homeless veterans are mostly males, 4% are families, a vast majority are single, most of them from poor, disadvantaged communities. 45% suffer from a mental illness or from substance abuse. America's homeless veterans have served in World War II, Korean War, the Cold War, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Lebanon, Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, in Operation Iraqi Freedom, or the military's anti-drug cultivation efforts in South America. 47% are homeless veterans who have served during the Vietnam era. More than 67% have served our country for at least 3 years, and 33% were stationed in a war zone. These numbers are staggering. Yet, How many times do people look the other way when they see the tents of our homeless? This is an idea whose time has come. And the fact that we're going to put women veterans in here first is an excellent idea. It's going to set an example for this state, for this country, to step up and follow suit. There's a lot of things that have to be done, a lot of doors that have to be knocked on, and forms that have to be signed, and things that have to be pushed through the government. But it will happen. We will push this through because this is an idea whose time has come.
Thank you a lot, Randy. Next, we're going to have Dan Tarbell. Dan Tarbell is a co-founder of CMAC, and it's our pleasure to welcome Dan. Thank you.
As he said, I'm co-chairman of CMAC, co-founder, along with Larry Smith. This really means a lot. You know, Michael Stacy, I can't say enough. We started out CMAC as a very small organization, and as time built, and it built fast, we needed a good sound system. And our director, Michael Stacy, I can't tell you how wonderful a job he's done for us. And when he starts a project, he completes a project. Larry and I put on probably 9-10 events a year, major events throughout the community. Michael is there every time doing the sound for us. And as you can tell, he does a very well job. This village means a lot to me because veterans, us men, I go back to the day when it was mostly only men fighting the wars. Now the women have stepped up and they bleed just like all of us men do. I honor our women veterans very much. And I want to make it better for them. Our government needs to step up and do a much better job of taking care of our veterans. And I think it can happen. I see there's some representatives here in our government, and I hope they keep hearing the word, take care of our veterans. Anyhow, I thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure being here. I don't like to say a lot. I think Larry Smith, Randy, and Ann McInerney Ogle will cover it all for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. And also next, we're going to have also the co-founder and co-chair of CMAC, Mr. Larry Smith. And Larry is a former city council member, and he knows a lot about the city politics.
Well, thanks very much. Before I make some brief comments, let me just acknowledge Representative Linda Wilson from the 17th District. Thanks for being here, Linda. And I saw Judge Darvin Zimmerman back there, the founder of the Veterans Therapeutical Court for Clark County. Thanks. And then right behind me is the Mayor Pro Tem who's going to speak shortly, Ann McInerney Ogle. So I'm just happy these folks are here. How about a round of applause for them? Well, I cannot say enough about Mike and Ron, and this is needed. I come from a military background. Obviously, I'm a retired Army, but my dad was a retired Navy. He never did understand why I went in the Army, but after some of the stories he told me about the Pacific Theater operation during World War II, I didn't want to go in the Navy. Saw a lot of combat over there and would talk about it, and pretty ugly. But he spent about 26 years in the Navy, Second World War, as I said, a veteran, also a veteran of Korea. And then my father-in-law was a Master Sergeant, 30 years in, and fought in North Africa, 2 years in North Africa. It was a battlefield commission in Mount Belvedere in Italy with the 10th Mountain Division. Extraordinary guy, and didn't look particularly like officers. but, I learned to live with it. Great guy, F. Don Walding, retired Master Sergeant, and he's buried at Fort Benning, Georgia. I also am a member of a Gold Star family. My mother-in-law lost her only son in Vietnam. He's a helicopter pilot, killed on March 3rd, 1970 at Operation Ripcord. So we understand the military. It's been drilled in me, the importance of it. I've heard my family talk about it. You got to take care of veterans. And personally, I don't think we do a very good job. Seems like every 4 years when there's a national election, it's all we hear about is we're going to take care of veterans, we're going to do this for that, one part or the other, and then when you turn around, we're still looking at 22 committing suicide a day, and that's outrageous, just totally outrageous in the thing. We got a moral obligation to take care of these men and women, and I might add, gang, and I have to explain that to my male counterparts quite a bit, that there's a lot more women in the service than you think. I just saw in the paper the USS Michigan. It's a missile carrying submarine. It's being overhauled up at Bremerton. Their skipper, I think, is female, and they had 33 female sailors aboard that vessel. Those airplanes that take off over here, the 142nd, actually it's the 123rd Red Hawks, at least 3 are female pilots. So it's a changing world, and much more of the needs out there, we're going to have to reach out, because women are going to be in all the ranks, and they're going to make up a good portion of our service. And to be honest with you, that's the way it ought to be. They ought to have every opportunity to protect this country and to get involved in it. But having said all that, we need to take care of them. We need to make sure that we provide the resources, because we put them, they signed up for duty, honor, country. And we have an obligation to reciprocate that, is when they get out, to make sure they're transitioned in, because we put them in positions to make some horrible decisions in their lives. And we need to understand it. It's not all their fault. Some of it is their fault, but not all of it. And we need to make sure that they have housing, make sure that they get jobs and so forth. I can tell you that this generation has come a long way than when I was in Vietnam. And the 2 tours I spent over there, especially the second tour coming back in 1969, was not very pleasant. And I watched some of my cohorts that are Vietnam veterans, and many of you Vietnam veterans, see the treatment and how the warrior who does their duty is also the scapegoat for a war with bad policies. And I hope it does not happen in Iraq and Afghanistan. We got to be protective of that, and making sure that these young men and women who risk their lives and their families as well are taken care of, and making sure that housing is provided for. This is one step. There's a lot more steps that we need to do. So thank you for coming out. Hope you can be supportive of it. It's important to spread the word. It's important to collect money. It's all about money, and making sure that we get behind this project, and hopefully this will carry out throughout Clark County and throughout the state of Washington, as well as the rest of the country. So God bless each and every one of you.
Oh, Tekashula, grandfather. We thank you today, grandfather, for this place, grandfather, for this wonderful place. We thank you for this gift. We ask today, grandfather, that you watch over these people here, grandfather, that will live here, grandfather. Help them to thrive, grandfather. We thank you, grandfather, for the many blessings you give us every day, grandfather. For this day, grandfather. Today, grandfather, we ask you to watch over us, our families, grandfather, our children, our veterans, grandfather. Ho, mataki ase.
Not yet. I'm going to do the groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah, do groundbreaking first.
Okay, are we ready for the groundbreaking?
Groundbreaking first.
Okay, are we ready for the groundbreaking?
Actually, one more word. Ron, really, this is for those who have not met Ron Fryer. This is Ron Fryer, and I'd like to have him say a couple words. But again, we thank Ron for everything that he's done.
First of all, thanks for coming, and thanks for your support. I wanted to find out if any of you are members of an organization that might consider doing a fundraiser for this project. You don't have to be the head of the organization, but if you could introduce us to the right people, that would be greatly appreciated, because we really need to raise a lot of money to get this project done. And I have many ideas about how to fundraise, and I've done quite a few of them, and they're very effective and easy to do. So if you'd like to be part of this and help us with a fundraiser, please get a hold of myself or Ron Powers or Mike Stacy and let us know, and we will work with you the best we can to help you succeed in raising funds for our project. And thank you so much for coming.
That's right. We really don't want to dig it up. Camille, come here. Okay.